I'm Nate Eaton here with Candace Cooley. She's the mother of Dylan Rounds, who has been missing for nearly 2 weeks now. It is such a puzzling story here.
Yes.
We've got a 19-year-old handsome young man who was raised in eastern Idaho, the Twin Falls area, kind of back and forth, both areas. And he was last seen, heard from, about 2 weeks ago in Utah. Lucin, is that how you say it?
Yeah, well, that's where his farm is. We got a phone call, but we don't know if he was there.
Okay, so why don't we go back to the beginning when he first disappeared. Were you in touch with him before then?
Yeah, so I spoke with him on Thursday, and his dad, Justin, spoke with him Thursday. Then his grandmother spoke with him Saturday morning, May 28th, and he said he couldn't talk because he had to get his grain truck in the shed because he had seed in it and he was planting, so he couldn't get his seed wet.
So he's got a farm there.
Yes.
And where is Lucin?
So if Lucin's just on the other side of the Great Salt Lake,
Okay.
I guess it'd be the best way to explain it to people. So it's on the Nevada border of the state, by Park Valley and that.
Okay, so close to the Nevada border. How long has he been farming there?
So this will be his third season.
Third season, so he's lived there a while.
Yeah, so he goes, he doesn't live there full time. He goes to his dad's, Justin's, in eastern Idaho. He comes to my house in Hazelton. But in the summer, he's pretty much down there because he's farming.
Okay.
But in the winter, he's back and forth everywhere else.
So had he just recently gone back for the season?
Yeah, he'd been on the Wine Cup Gamble doing some custom work and on another farm in Independence Valley doing some work, and then he was finishing up his farm.
I see. So he speaks with a family member on the 28th of May.
Correct.
And that's the last contact anybody's had with him.
Correct.
Did he say anything unusual?
No, just said he had to get his grain truck in because it was raining.
That was it.
That was it.
So when did you realize something wasn't right?
So his grandmother sent some of the people out there she knew to go check on him because she hadn't heard back from him. And then we kind of put it together on Monday that nobody had spoken to him because Dylan, you would go 2 or 3 days without hearing from him. That's not uncommon. But he was always in contact with either Justin or myself or his grandmother or his friend JD. He was always in contact with someone. So it took, a day and a half to put together that he'd been in contact with no one.
Which was unusual.
Yes.
So Monday comes around and Grandma asks people to go check on him at the farm.
So Grandma asked Sunday for people to go check on him
Sunday.
at the farm. Monday is when we all went down and called search and rescue and the police out.
What did you find at the farm?
So when search and rescue arrived, it was approximately between 4 and 5. And within the first hour and a half, and we didn't initially release this, they found his boots. And so from where his grain truck was parked, his boots were about 100 yards south behind a pile of dirt, just casually tossed out. And that's our frustration. Right there, it should have been foul play.
Did he have another pair of boots he could have been
No,
wearing?
and that is the thing with Dylan. He is very particular about his boots. He wears a pair, and it's always the same. When they're worn out, he goes and he buys the exact same boots. He's been that way since he was 3. I have old boots of Dylan's as decoration in my house, and I would have to search on Amazon to find the same exact color, the same exact pair when one wore out. So it's not a recent habit. It's it's his pattern. He's always been that way.
So he wears the same pair everywhere.
Yes.
And you found them behind a pile of dirt.
Yes. And then we were since told by detectives that there was a spot of blood on the boots and they were being sent to the lab. And this was on Wednesday or Thursday. But
After that Saturday.
So the boots were found Monday. Then we were told this. Then we found out from detectives the boots had not been sent to the lab. And this was on Saturday when they came back out, that they were being held in case the cadaver dogs needed them, which cadaver dogs do not need a scent. They search for human remains. So the boots just didn't get sent in.
Was there anything else suspicious?
So his pickup, when we got looking around, so we were frantic at first. So we went in, we tossed his camper looking for his keys. Couldn't find his keys, his key fob, so Justin broke out the back window. Go through his pickup, try to see what we can find. Wasn't until a couple days later, and mind you not, through all this, the detectives are not making this a crime scene. They're not blocking this off. So all the people out searching, everybody out there, they're around Dylan's pickup, they're around his camper, they're touching everything. There's no tracks. So in Lucin that weekend, it was raining, and you're in the middle of a desert, and tracks are everywhere when it rains. Dylan's pickup has been pressure washed. And we didn't catch it in the first couple days because we were just frantic. We weren't even thinking about it. But then we had some people from Utah come forward, and they were cavers, and they were out there that weekend, and she called me, and she gave me a bunch of great information, pictures about the weather, what the landscape looked like with the puddles. And when we pulled in Monday, we left tracks. We still had tracks. It was still that wet. There's nothing behind Dylan's pickup. There is no track that it had moved for weeks. We know it had, but there's no tracks. There's no mud on the tires. There's no mud on the rims. But one place they missed was the wheel wells. So the wheel wells are full of mud, like it had been driven in the rain, and we have videos of it. But the tires, the pickup, there's no, you should have mud on the side of it. There's nothing. It's been cleaned.
So it's like someone drove it somewhere and
Right.
then parked it back where it was and cleaned it spotless
Yes.
on the outside.
And the other thing is so Sunday we said, we're going to move Dylan's pickup out if, at this point, the big search and rescue party had been out there that we organized. That pickup's nothing. It's probably had over 200 people touch it. They're not going to pull anything off of it at this point because they didn't do the job in the first place. So I got in the pickup to take it back to camp to Justin so Dylan's friend could drive it home. The seat was scooted up to the point I didn't even have to move it to drive it. Now, I'm 4'11". Dylan's 5'11", and he sits back far. And every time I've ever gotten Dylan's pickup, you can't reach the pedals. I can't. So I thought, well, maybe it's just the way the seat moves when you turn the pickup off, right? So I made a mark in the dust, turned it on, turned it off, and to where the seat went back, and it's not where it was at. So it wasn't just because somebody got out of the pickup and let it go back to a setting. It was placed there. His pickup was also in 4 low. So he had a new transmission put in his pickup this winter, and the transfer case got messed up, and his 4-wheel drive does not work. And Dylan knows this, his grandfather knows it, his father knows it, I know it. He's cussed it. The pickup was in 4 low. So whoever was driving the pickup thought they were putting it in 4-wheel drive, but the 4-wheel drive don't work.
Does he have friends out there? Are there neighbors? I mean, or is this a remote?
It's remote, and Dylan, he has the 2 gentlemen that have helped him out there farm, and we're in constant contact with them. But no, I mean, there's nothing out there. Dylan would come our direction, his dad's direction, so that he could socialize, or he'd go into the bar in Montello, and we'd made some friends of people that were in Montello, but they never came out to him. He always went in. I mean, there's no reason to go out there. There's nothing out there.
What do his 2 workers say? I mean, are they people of interest or anything?
Really, that's the problem. Is until the police start actually questioning, really questioning people, we can't say anything because we have nothing. Nobody's got a story locked into place. Nobody, you question a person and then it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like you said this, but the evidence says this. So they haven't done any of that.
What about his phone or wallet?
No wallet, no phone. The officer who initially I talked to on Monday, he did get a ping on his phone. It was at 3:41 Saturday. And off the tower, so it just, the last tower ping, and it's like a 15.4 mile radius is where that ping could have been. Now, his farm is in the ping. So our first assumption was he took his grain truck, he parked it, he didn't have a ride, and he took off walking back to his camper, to his pickup, which is 5 miles. But then we found the boots. Obviously, that's not the case because he wouldn't go 100 yards one direction and throw his boots to walk 5 miles in the other direction.
Likely in rainy weather.
Yeah.
Because it was raining.
Yes. And the boots, even the officers, when we found the boots, when Search and Rescue found the boots, and Box Elder County Search and Rescue, they were amazing. I mean, they have not dropped, they were good. They were out there right away. But they gave it brought the sheriffs out, and Justin and I, they took us out to look at the boots.
Justin's his dad.
Yes.
Okay.
And instantly we knew those are Dylan's boots, but they even said they haven't been out here more than 2 or 3 days, 3 days at the max. Well, last time we heard from him was Saturday. And he wears the Georgia work boots, the yellow ones that discolor, and Even if we wouldn't have found them for a day or two after sitting in the rain, they probably would have been so discolored they would have looked super old. They just don't hold up well on the tops of them.
But they looked fresh. They weren't faded.
Yeah, and they had loosened dirt all over them, that alkali, sandy type of, you could tell. I mean, it was loosened dirt. You could tell he'd been out there in them.
Was he living there at the farm, or was he staying in like a trailer?
So he had a camp trailer.
He had a camp trailer that he was staying in.
Yeah.
So there was some rumors going around, even some flyers going around with a person of interest, this mysterious man that he apparently had a run-in with, who asked him for a ride?
Yes, so it was Chase Venstra, and I mean, it's been everywhere. So Dylan called me on Wednesday. I was at work, and
The Wednesday before?
Wednesday, May 25th, Dylan called me, and he's like, "You'll never believe what happened, Mom." So he tells me this story about this guy running out of the middle of the desert. Looks like he's been out there for days, bloody, scratched up. So when we came into town and I had that information, I'm trying to figure out who's this guy he had this run-in with. Well, Dylan told me he did not give him a ride. He said he had no shoes on, he did not give him a ride. So immediately, everybody's saying that was Chase, and Chase did it. Chase made Dylan disappear. I mean, it was just instant. So we're just getting out there. We're fresh on this. We're trying to figure out what the heck happened. So we start trying to locate this Chase, and it's not happening. So that's when we put up the flyer, like, let's find this guy. He began calling into Box Elder County Sheriff's Department, saying, "Hey, I wasn't there. I can tell you how I can show you I wasn't there." Then the detectives came out and spoke with Justin and I at camp, I think Thursday, and Chase had finally reached out to me personally. He called me. And he said, "It wasn't me, Candace." So he's giving me his story, and, I'm taking it with a grain of salt just listening, because I don't know. I don't know this guy. I don't know what he's capable of. I just know he's reached out to me. Mm-hmm. So when the detectives got to the camp that night, they sat with Justin and I in my parents' camp trailer, and we were talking, and I said, Chase is on standby. He wants to talk to you guys. They said, "We know he's been calling in all day. We just haven't talked to him." So here we have this person of interest that is trying to get a hold of the sheriff's office saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you guys." And the sheriffs are blowing him off. Don't even transfer him, don't even get him to the detectives, don't call him back. They did finally talk to him, and he is since in custody on unrelated charges. So, whether or not Chase knows something, when I say we've cleared him off of our list. Justin and I have cleared him off
as a family.
As a family, because we've found him, we've located him for the police. He's in custody, so what he knows, or if he knows anything, that is now the police job to get it out of him.
Do you think in your heart that he was involved with your son's disappearance?
I don't. In my heart, I really don't. Okay. The timeline doesn't match. And then to find out, and we have key witnesses that have come forward that watch it, Dylan did give him a ride that day. Dylan told me he did not, so that was my motive. Here my son is, he leaves this guy out in the middle of the desert, then we find, with no shoes, then we find his boots, but Dylan did give him a ride, and we know that for a fact, but he's not going to tell Mom that, because then Mom's going to be angry and be like, "Why are you picking strange people up in the desert?" Mm-hmm. So he left that out. But we do know he gave Chase a ride, so then there goes your motive.
Did Dylan have a girlfriend out there?
No.
Or here that may have been revenge or anything like that?
No, Dylan was pretty much all about farming. I mean, he might have had gals he chatted with or whatever. I don't really know. You don't really tell Mom that. But that wasn't his focus.
Was he on social media at all?
Yes, and just so everybody knows, and make sure we get this out here for the people who were on his social media, his phone is active. We have since got another phone that my cousin reactivated under Dylan's number to hack into all of his social media. So we are in his Snapchat, we are in his Facebook, we are in his internet searches, we are in everything, and there is nothing out of the ordinary. It is all pictures of tractors and pictures of his farm and searching up parts on the internet. Absolutely nothing that would make us think, okay, there was something more going on with him than we knew.
And no private conversations with anyone suspicious?
No, nothing. So it kind of freaked everybody out when his phone came active yesterday, and I should have.
But that was because you guys did it.
That was because
I
we
see.
did it. Yes.
So, do you know on his phone if the last call made on his phone was to Grandma?
Yes.
That was that Saturday.
Yeah.
When he said, "I got to go plant."
Yeah. Yeah. We've pulled all of those phone records. We're waiting for the text transcripts, and then we're waiting for another phone ping. So the detective, when he came out that Thursday, he also told Justin and I that they were working on a different type of ping, and this ping would give them an exact location. It's way better. I should have it tomorrow morning. Nothing.
That was last Thursday.
That was last
So a
Thursday.
week ago.
Nothing.
And sometimes in other stories I've covered, if you have the GPS enabled on your phone, it's easier for them to track.
See.
Some of us turn the GPS off, though.
See, and Dylan, he's figured out, he goes and gets his own phones now. He's not, yes, he's on his father's account, but he's not, not bringing them to mom to say, hey, set him up, or bring them to grandma and say, hey, set him up. He's doing it himself. So all that iCloud tracking, all that, none of it's on because he don't use it.
Yeah.
So we have tried every possible way. We're looking into some stuff with Ford, if we can see where at least the runtime on his pickup, if you can pull that off the ECM or something. But he didn't have any GPS on his pickup either.
So what do you think happened?
I think somebody took him. He would not leave that farm. Somebody somewhere knows something, and it's so eerie out there, and people are so standoffish. Nobody really wants to, it's like you got a lot of people who want to say something, but they won't. But, Dylan's patterns, everything he did, it's so normal. It was the same pattern all the time. And I think he had a little more to plant. He was planting a little bit more, and that was it. That was his focus. And then he was excited to get rain, of course, but then also not excited because he couldn't finish planting. But he went and bought some new grain drills. He's getting it in. He didn't leave that place willingly. And we don't even know, and that's why we're begging for Nevada to help us, because his last physical sighting was in Montello, not Utah.
Montello, Nevada.
And
Just right over the border.
Right. We don't even know if he made it back
To Utah.
So
that's my question. Who's the lead agency?
Well, so that's the problem. So Nevada is telling us that Utah, that Box Elder is the lead agency, because we're begging for their search and rescue to come help us. We got places pinpointed that we need dogs at and stuff. And so they're saying, well, Box Elder's the lead. Box Elder's saying, well, there hasn't technically been a crime, so we can't go and cross over. So we're getting this state line mess that it's like I tell you, in the email, we're not asking for a tactical team. We're asking for Elko Search and Rescue to come help us on the Montana side. Utah has helped us on the Utah side. We have covered it. We're now moving focus, especially after we know for sure he was seen last in Montello. We do not know if he made it to Montello. I mean, we know he wasn't the last one to drive his pickup. Who's to say he was the last one? He was the one to even move the grain truck. But we need help searching out there. We're not search and rescue. We're not professionals. I mean, we've had an outpouring of support and air support, and it's been amazing. But we need the dogs, and we need the people who know the terrain, and we need these guys to be out questioning the town. What have you seen? But we're just getting no help. We're getting nothing.
You mentioned the air searches. Nothing seen from the air?
Well, so we did see when we flew with York, we seen there's a big wash. And I mean, we landed the chopper in it. It's that big. And it was searched right to the Utah border. And then searching state lines again. And then our search party, they did some of it. You didn't realize how big it was, but... and I put the video on Facebook yesterday when we're in the chopper, and you can see the single pickup tracks. It's just one pickup that heads out there, goes clear to the wash. The tread is similar to Dylan's, but we need law enforcement out there to take, is this Dylan's tread? Was this? Because if it was, that pickup had to be out there sometime late Sunday afternoon until we arrived sometime on Monday because of how deep the track, and the rain doesn't some, but it couldn't have been out there Saturday. It was raining too hard. You couldn't have been in that wash. And then they go clear to the end of the wash. They stop a couple places, and it's interesting because as we're flying this, there's marks where the pickup's fishtailing. So it's fishtailing. They're in a rush, but it's clearly not in four-wheel drive the way the tracks are. But we can't even get them to help us with that. And I mean, we're not asking. All we want is a cadaver dog to run it, because the way the walls slough off from the rain, I mean, there's huge slides that you're talking 3, 4, 5 ton of dirt that you can just kind of nudge your pickup up to and disturb the ground, and it just sloughs off after rain. So we're just let's get some dogs out there and run that, because unfortunately, and I hate to even say anything like it, but we were told by locals, well, if you ever want to get rid of anybody in this area, you just wait till it rains and take them to the wash.
Yeah. Wow.
But we can't get any help. I have a lady in Pocatello that I think is going to help me with her cadaver dog. But as far as law enforcement, I mean, we've been begging Elko. They told me they'd send out Bureau of Land Management to check out 2 very specific spots that we got tips on that really need to be checked. And in the BLM would be a great asset as far as, searching, and they know. But Elko County Sheriffs needs to be out there, and they need their search and rescue out there. They don't need to call BLM and make it their... it's not their case. It's not their responsibility. It's the sheriff's responsibility. But once again, that was on Monday, and here we are Wednesday. We've been
Thursday.
Here we are Thursday, and still nothing.
So you're wanting Elko on the Nevada side, Box Elder on the Utah side. If they could somehow just come together, do a massive search, get the dogs out, get the people, maybe people on horses or ATVs, however these searches go. And I'm sure there's people that want to volunteer to help, but is it one of those that if you head out there, do you want volunteers?
Yes, so I'll put a post on Facebook. We're going to organize another search starting Friday. We'll probably start a little tomorrow, but the big push on Saturday. Again, the weekend. And so we're hoping in doing this and putting it out there that Elko will step up and be like, okay, you guys need the resources, because Weber County came out after Box Elder. Weber County was out last Friday. And
Weber County, Utah.
Yes, and they did an amazing job. They did have a dog, and they had a chopper, and they had a ton of people out. And but that area, that specific Utah side that we were focused on, it's been covered. Even all the choppers say it's unreal. You can't go anywhere without a track. I mean, we have covered and covered and covered. Now we need to move sides.
So you've searched his whole farm?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Except the boots.
Except the boots and his pickup.
My gosh. You look at this handsome kid. I mean, I say kid because he looks 12, 13. I mean, looks like an innocent young man. Dylan Rounds is his name. We're going to put this picture on the screen here. He's 19. When's his birthday?
August 1st, 2002.
August 1st. 5'10", around 160 pounds, brown hair and eyes. Obviously, his boots are still at the house, but his wallet's gone and his phone is gone. Mm-hmm. Car keys? Truck keys?
Key fob's gone.
Key fob's gone to the truck.
Yep.
All right. What should people do if they have information?
Call into Box Elder, and push. And if you don't get the response box from Box Elder, Justin and I numbers are out there. Don't call us and ask us if, did you search this? Did you search that? Trust me, we have covered all that. But if you know something specific or seen something, don't hesitate to call us. It can be hard getting the tips through the police we're learning, and then they can't share them with us. So
well, let's hope he's somewhere, alive and safe, or maybe even injured, but still here. What would you say to your son if he sees this? Just
come home. I don't even. There's no realm that he's running from us. There's no, I know there's situations like that where you plead and then sometimes these kids come out, but that's not him.
Any sign of mental illness?
No.
Any personal stress, trauma, anything like that?
No. Dylan's biggest stress was getting his crop to grow. I mean, it's so hard. People say all the time about they wouldn't do that. And I understand I'm the mom saying the same thing, but this kid, he is not your typical, this kid doesn't know how to play video games. This kid, he is not in his generation. He was born in the wrong generation. He's completely, different than what most kids are these days. And everybody who comes to us, everybody who talks, the more it gets spread around, they're like, oh yeah, I know this kid. He did this for me. And he's the hardest working kid I've ever, that's everybody. It's not just his parents saying this. It's everybody who knew the kid. So, it's not just coming from one-sided. It's, that farm was his life. People told him he couldn't. Everybody told him. It's like, why is he out there? There's no way he's going to get a crop. That's insane. Well, he did it. And that was his drive. He's like, I'll prove you wrong. You can tell me I can't grow this crop out here and watch me go. So he's not going to walk away from it.
Which makes it even more bizarre.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of bizarre stuff out there. And, we keep getting told, like I said, working behind the scenes, we're profiling them, we're doing this, we're doing that. Well, call me if you're profiling them. Elko Police Department, if they're telling everybody else who calls in, screaming at him, well, we're working on a profile, we're working on this, but you have yet to call and speak with his mother. And I think Justin spoke with them. I know he spoke with them last week. I don't know if they've called him for any information. But why aren't you talking to his family? Why aren't you out there looking? Why aren't you say you're having meetings and you got all these people on the case? Doing what? He went missing from out here. You need to be in town interviewing people. You need to be helping us with search and rescue. They've done one official interview in this whole deal, and that was to the people who run the bar, because that's the last place he was seen. That's it. I mean, I hate to say it, but, Katie, his aunt, brings up a good point. His father and I should have been interviewed. Everybody close to the kid should have been. I mean, that's how it goes. But nothing.
Do you know if that bar had cameras?
I've been asked that. I'm going to have them look into it. I highly doubt it. Like I said, it's a town of 250 people.
Yeah.
It just.
But he was last seen there. Was that Saturday night? Do you know?
No, that was Friday night.
Friday night.
May
Then
27th.
he spoke with Grandma.
Yeah.
Saturday.
So we don't know, because sometimes he stayed in Montello. So we don't know if he.
In his camp trailer?
At another place.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't know if when that phone call was made, was he in Montello and freaked out getting to his grain truck, because 20 some odd miles away because it was raining, or was he in Lucin? And that call, they should be able to pull those records from which call that tower was pinged off of, or that phone was pinged off of. So that has not been done. So if there's multiple towers out there, but the Montello one is not the same as the one out in Lucin, like it would have pinged off a different tower, and that would tell us, okay, he didn't go, he wasn't there.
So would he go to Montello just because that was the closest big city?
Yeah, food.
Like grocery store,
Yeah.
food?
No,
Okay.
just food. Just there's two bars there. One's barely open. The other one, they hamburgers and stuff. Just hot food.
And it's 20 miles away.
It's like 27.
27.
Yeah.
But it's
like
the
that.
next closest town.
Yeah, it's
over the border.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, Candace. Well, I hope that the next time we talk, he's safe and found,
Me
and
too.
that everything's okay. And we're gonna, again, this is what Dylan Rounds looks like. If you have any information, call the police, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, and we will continue to follow it. This is a kid who many of you watching might know, raised here in eastern Idaho in Twin Falls, back and forth between mom and dad's house, and just seemed like a really sweet kid who wanted to work hard and grow his crop. And thank you
You're
for
welcome.
talking, and please, our best wishes to you and all the family.
Okay. We appreciate it.